Hey everyone, ever wish you could just like download Fluency? Like a software update, you know?
Yeah.
Like a quick upgrade.
Today we're going to deep dive into a technique that might be the next best thing.
Oh,
It's
cool.
called copy and speak.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, you sent us this guide that breaks it down into like 12 steps.
What steps, huh?
So we're going to unpack exactly how it works
Okay,
and what the science says about how well it works,
Great.
how effective it is.
that's important.
Yeah.
So this copy and speak thing,
Yeah.
it's interesting because it kind of uses this like basic way our brains learn,
Oh.
like through imitation, right?
Okay.
It's not just about parroting phrases though.
Right. It's got to be more to it.
It's about like actively engaging with the rhythm, the intonation, even like the little cultural cues that are kind of baked into spoken language.
So it's like learning by osmosis, but
Exactly.
with more intention.
Yes, like harnessing that natural tendency to mimic,
Oh, okay.
but adding this structured approach so you're speeding up the progress.
Exactly, yeah. Now, the guide, it really emphasizes starting with the right material,
Right, that makes sense.
using authentic English content,
Right.
podcasts, videos, audiobooks even.
Hmm.
But, and this is really important, it needs to be at your level.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's got to be the right level.
You wouldn't expect someone learning to play the piano to start with Rachmaninoff.
Exactly, exactly. So what's that sweet spot for beginners?
Yeah, what do you recommend?
The guide suggests pick material with clear pronunciation, a natural pace.
Oh,
You want to be able to understand what's being said and comfortably repeat it.
Okay, so think. No super fast auctioneers.
Yeah, no auctioneer.
No super technical jargon.
No,
So-
start like building a house, right?
Yeah.
You need a strong foundation before you start adding all the fancy stuff.
Foundation first.
Foundation.
Okay, got it.
So-
But how do we actually copy and speak?
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, do we just like listen and repeat like a parrot?
Well, that's part of it.
Okay.
But there's more to it.
Right.
It's not just mindless repetition.
Gotcha.
The core process is this 5-step cycle.
Okay.
You listen to a segment of native speech.
Mm-hmm.
You repeat it out loud.
Out loud, okay.
You record yourself saying it.
Ooh, the recording step.
Then you analyze that recording.
That feels key.
And then you repeat the whole process.
Oh, wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I know I've cringed listening back to myself trying to speak a new language.
Oh, yeah.
But is that cringe actually helpful?
Absolutely. Recordings give you feedback that you just can't get from listening in your head.
Oh.
They allow you to pick up on those subtle pronunciation errors,
Yeah.
awkward pacing, intonation that doesn't sound quite right.
It's like having a coach, but for your voice.
Yeah, a personal coach.
Pointing out areas where you can get better.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're getting personalized feedback.
Yeah.
We can improve faster with this technique
Yes.
than, say, just listening to a podcast passively.
There's actually research on that. Active engagement with language, like speaking and analyzing, it leads to much faster progress
Oh,
than passive listening alone.
so we're actively wiring our brains
Oh,
to
so
speak the
good.
language.
You got it.
Cool. But what about speed?
Yeah.
Native speakers can be so fast.
I can.
How do we keep up?
Right. Well, even seasoned interpreters, they don't aim for perfect synchronization
Lily.
in real time.
Okay.
The guide actually recommends slowing down the audio at first.
How about-
Especially with more challenging material,
Mhm.
focus on getting the pronunciation and rhythm right first
Okay.
before trying to match the speed.
Got it.
Think of it like learning a dance routine.
Yeah.
You practice the steps slowly and accurately
Right.
before putting it all together at full speed.
Quality over speed.
Yes. Master the pronunciation, the fluency will follow.
Okay, I like that.
And speaking of mastering, there's another technique that builds on this.
Oh, there's more.
It's called shadowing.
Shadowing. Yeah. That sounds intense.
It can be, but it's incredibly effective.
Oh.
Imagine speaking along with the audio in real time,
Okay.
almost like you're the speaker's shadow.
Wow.
You try to match their pace, their intonation, even their pauses.
That's a workout for your language muscles.
It is, it really is.
So we're pushing our listening comprehension.
To its limits, yeah. Forcing you to process language in chunks.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's like taking your brain to the gym.
So we've got our material.
Yeah.
We're working through the copy and speak process.
Mhm.
We're trying shadowing.
Right.
But is a few minutes here and there really enough to make a difference?
Well, the magic, they say, is in the consistency.
Okay.
The guide says even 15-30 minutes of daily practice can give you really impressive results over time.
So short, consistent practice is key.
Keeps those skills from getting rusty.
Like brushing your teeth, but for your English.
Exactly. Now, it's not all about simply mimicking.
Right.
The guide also talks about taking it a step further.
Okay. By focusing on specific aspects of spoken English.
No, interesting.
But we'll dive deeper into that in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, sounds good.
Welcome back.
Back for more Copy and Speak.
Last time we were looking at the foundations, right?
Yeah, picking the right material.
That listen, repeat, record, analyze cycle.
Oh, and shadowing.
Shadowing, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the next level.
So this technique isn't just about mimicking, is it?
No, it's about achieving real fluency.
So how do we level up our skills? Where do we go from here?
Okay, so think about the difference between reading a speech and hearing someone deliver it, like with passion.
Yeah, it's not just the words, it's how they say it.
Exactly. The guide talks about the nuances of pronunciation.
Oh, okay.
Paying attention not just to the sounds.
But how they all fit together.
Yeah, in spoken English.
This reminds me of slowing down the audio.
Oh, yeah.
You notice so much more than just the words.
What do you notice?
It's like there's this hidden musicality.
Yeah, the rises and falls.
Emphasis. Exactly. Mastering those subtle elements, that can really change how you're understood.
And how natural you sound. Right.
Absolutely. Like you can say, I'm going to the store.
Okay.
But the meaning changes depending on where you put the emphasis.
Oh, wow.
Stress, it becomes more assertive. Stress store, it's a question.
Like those actors who can deliver the same line in a million different ways.
Yeah. It's amazing what emphasis can do.
I never thought about it like that.
It's subtle but powerful. The guide has some practical exercises too.
Oh, nice.
To help us become more aware of these nuances.
And use them, right.
Yes. In our own speech, our communication becomes more expressive.
Not just robotic.
No, more authentic. You know, it allows us to convey not just information, but emotion, intention.
So expressive English.
Yes. And this brings us to idioms and phrases.
Oh, idioms, those are tricky.
They can be, but they add so much color and personality.
It's the difference between I'm very happy and I'm over the moon.
Exactly. It makes you sound less like a textbook.
Yeah, more like a real person.
Yeah.
But honestly, idioms feel like a minefield sometimes.
I know.
I'm always worried about mixing them up.
It's a journey, though. Don't worry.
Okay.
The guide says start by just recognizing idioms when you encounter them in your material.
Write them down.
Yeah, write them down, look them up.
Understand the context.
Exactly. And then slowly, you can start to integrate them
into my own speech.
Yeah. And your English will start to sound more idiomatic, more native-like.
That's the goal. But we need vocabulary, too, right?
Absolutely. The more words you know, the better you can express yourself.
So how does that fit into copy and speak?
Active engagement, again. When you're listening and repeating, pay attention to any new words.
Okay, yeah.
Jot them down, look them up, try to understand them.
Use them in my practice.
Yes. It's about building a dynamic vocabulary.
That's relevant to me.
Exactly. As you practice, those words become part of your active vocabulary.
So they're ready to use in real conversations.
You got it. It's not rote memorization. It's about making those words feel real.
Part of your toolkit.
Yes. Now, the guy also talks about something that can really help our progress.
Oh, what's that?
The social element.
Finding a language partner.
Exactly. Someone to practice with.
I have to admit, I'm a bit of an introvert when it comes to practicing.
I understand. But the guide says it can make a huge difference.
Right.
You can practice pronunciation together.
Oh, okay.
Take turns shadowing.
Or even role play.
Yes, it makes practice more fun.
And collaborative.
Exactly. And beyond that, it can boost your motivation too.
Having a buddy.
Yeah, someone to share the journey with.
Celebrate the wins.
And offer support when it's tough.
It's like having a gym buddy, but for English.
Exactly. You can encourage each other.
Push through the tough parts.
Yeah. And speaking of tough parts, the guide also talks about mindset.
Mindset. What do you mean?
Well, how do you usually react when you face a challenge in English?
Like if I can't pronounce a word?
Yeah, or you fumble in a conversation. Do you get discouraged?
Sometimes, yeah.
Or do you see it as an opportunity to learn?
I try to be optimistic, but I've definitely had moments where I wanted to give up.
That's totally normal. Language learning has its ups and downs.
It does.
But the guide says it's important to cultivate a growth mindset.
Meaning?
Believing that your abilities can be developed.
Okay, so my English isn't fixed.
Right. It can grow and improve.
So I should see those stumbles as stepping stones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Embrace the challenges, learn from mistakes, and copy and speak can help with that.
Really? How so?
That cycle, listening, repeating, recording, analyzing.
Yeah.
You're engaging with the language, identifying areas for improvement, celebrating wins.
It's like a progress bar for language learning.
Exactly. You can see how far you've come.
And stay motivated.
Yes. As you practice, your confidence grows, your self-doubt diminishes.
It's about believing I can do it.
Exactly. But how do we translate this into real-world fluency?
Yeah, that's the big question.
We'll explore that in the final part of our deep dive.
All right, welcome back for the final part of our Copy and Speak deep dive.
The grand finale.
We've talked about, the techniques, pronunciation, mindset.
The whole package.
But the big question is, how do we actually become more fluent?
Out in the real world, yeah.
In real life, using English.
That's the goal, right. And the guide has some good stuff on how to do that.
So it's not just practicing in a vacuum.
No, it's about using those skills in real conversations.
I mean, how do we bridge that gap?
The guide talks about creating an immersive environment.
Oh, I've heard that before.
Surround yourself with English as much as possible.
It can feel overwhelming, though.
It can be, yeah.
Like drinking from a fire hose.
Exactly. The guide gives some practical suggestions, though.
Okay, what kind of suggestions?
It doesn't have to be drastic changes.
Okay, that's good.
Small things, like switching your phone settings to English.
Oh, okay.
Listening to English music or podcasts while you commute.
I could do that.
Even watching movies with English subtitle.
So integrating English into my daily life.
Yeah, in a way that feels natural.
Not forcing it.
Exactly. And as you get more comfortable, you can seek out more active opportunities. Joining a conversation group, going to events in English, finding a language partner online.
So it's a gradual process.
It is, like building up your language muscles.
Starting with lighter weights.
Yeah, and gradually increasing the challenge.
I like that. As we do that, we get more confident.
Absolutely. Conversations become less scary, more fun, even.
But is there anything we can do to make those interactions feel less, intimidating?
Yeah, the guide has a cool suggestion.
What is it?
Find inspiration from English speakers you admire.
Oh, that's interesting. So, find a language role model.
Exactly. Someone whose style you want to emulate.
Could be anyone, right?
Yeah, an actor, a public speaker, a podcaster.
Someone whose English you really like.
Yes. And use their material in your copy and speak practice.
So instead of just picking any random podcast,
choose content that resonates with you, stylistically.
So we're absorbing their rhythm, their intonation.
Yeah, the way they phrase things. It's like a master class.
But on my own terms.
Exactly. It's personalized. It's motivating.
And it's about developing my own style.
That's a great way to put it.
But fluency is a journey, right?
It is.
We need to keep learning.
Always. Language is constantly evolving.
So even when we feel like we've mastered it,
there's always more to explore.
It never really ends.
That's the beauty of it. It's a lifelong journey.
Well, I think we've covered a lot.
We have, from the basics to the nuances.
And hopefully you feel inspired.
Motivated to start your own language learning journey.
So go out there, find your language heroes.
Start practicing.
And most importantly, have fun.
Happy speaking!
Yeah.